When we talk about the ultimate path for the middle class to wealth, the very first and most powerful step is the transformation of mindset. Everything begins in the mind because the way a person thinks determines the choices they make, the risks they take, and the actions they are willing to commit to. Many people in the middle class grow up with a survival mentality, one shaped by security, stability, and safety. They are taught from an early age that the best path in life is to get a good education, find a stable job, work hard, and save whatever is left. While these are noble principles, they often build a cage around the individual, keeping them locked in a cycle of working for money instead of learning how to make money work for them. The mindset shift required to move from the middle class to wealth begins when a person stops seeing limitations and starts seeing opportunities. Instead of saying, I can't afford this, they begin to ask, how can I afford this? Instead of being trapped by the idea that money is scarce, they open themselves to the belief that money is abundant and flows to those who know how to create value. This shift requires unlearning many of the beliefs passed down from parents, schools, and even society. For example, the idea that working harder automatically equals greater financial success is not always true. In reality, working smarter, leveraging skills, and creating systems of income are what lead to wealth. The wealthy do not trade time for money alone. They trade ideas, investments, and ownership for income that multiplies without demanding their constant presence. The middle class is trained to prioritize security, which leads to comfort zones, but wealth comes to those who dare to think differently and take calculated risks. The mindset shift pushes an individual to ask bigger questions, to dream beyond the monthly paycheck, and to embrace the possibility that they too can break free from financial limits. Another crucial part of this mindset shift is redefining what money means. To the middle class, money is often seen as a tool for consumption, buying a nicer car, upgrading a home, or affording vacations. But to the wealthy, money is primarily a tool for creation, investing in businesses, purchasing income-generating assets, or funding innovations that bring more returns. This simple but radical difference in perspective changes how every dollar is handled. A person with a wealth mindset sees every dollar not as something to spend, but as a seed that can be planted to grow a future harvest. This shift is not immediate, and it requires conscious effort because it goes against the traditional conditioning most of us receive. The wealth mindset also embraces learning and curiosity. Where the middle class might stop at a degree and rely on it for life, the wealthy continue to learn about money, markets, opportunities, and emerging industries. They believe in constant growth, adapting to change, and investing in knowledge that can produce results. This is why wealthy people read more books on business, attend more seminars, seek more mentors, and surround themselves with those who challenge their thinking. Their mindset tells them that there is always more to know, and that ignorance is expensive while knowledge pays the best dividends. Perhaps the most powerful part of this mindset shift is in how it views failure. For many in the middle class, failure is a threat, something to avoid because it can lead to financial loss or embarrassment. But for those on the path to wealth, failure is seen as a lesson, a stepping stone to growth. They understand that mistakes are part of the journey and that every setback can bring wisdom that no classroom could ever teach. Instead of being paralyzed by fear of failure, they are energized by the potential of success. They recognize that staying in the middle class often feels safer, but that very safety is what prevents them from rising to new levels of financial freedom. A true mindset shift also brings with it a sense of ownership over one's destiny. It eliminates excuses, pushes aside the blame game, and accepts that no government, employer, or external force will create wealth on your behalf. It places responsibility back into your own hands, reminding you that the way you think about money, risk, value, and opportunity will ultimately decide where you end up. Wealth is not a product of luck alone, but of intentional thought patterns that guide consistent action. Once a person decides to think like the wealthy, they naturally start acting differently, making choices that align with growth, and stepping into arenas that once felt out of reach. Financial discipline is one of the most critical foundations on the path from middle class to wealth because without control over money, money quickly takes control over you. For many people in the middle class, the cycle of working, earning, and spending repeats endlessly, and even when income grows, expenses grow alongside it. This is known as lifestyle inflation, and it is one of the biggest traps that prevent people from ever reaching financial freedom. A raise at work turns into a new car loan, a bonus turns into a vacation, and suddenly the additional income disappears without building any lasting wealth. The wealthy, however, understand that discipline with money is not about deprivation, but about direction. They know exactly where their money goes, and they assign every dollar a purpose that aligns with their long-term goals instead of short-term gratification. Discipline begins with budgeting and tracking. While many view budgeting as restrictive, in reality, it is liberating because it provides clarity. When you know exactly what comes in and what goes out, you can start to redirect money toward building assets instead of feeding liabilities. A person practicing financial discipline does not let money slip away unnoticed. They are intentional with every purchase, asking themselves whether it contributes to growth or whether it simply satisfies a momentary desire. This level of awareness creates space to save and invest, which are the engines that move someone beyond financial survival. Another dimension of financial discipline is delayed gratification. The middle class often chases immediate comfort, while the wealthy willingly postpone pleasures for greater rewards in the future. It is the ability to say no to buying something today so you can afford far more tomorrow. This could mean resisting the urge to upgrade a phone every year, choosing to drive a modest car while investing in property, or skipping nights out to put more into savings. The discipline to delay gratification is what separates those who only appear wealthy from those who truly build lasting wealth. Many people look rich on the outside because of what they own, but true wealth is hidden in investments, savings, and assets that grow silently in the background. Financial discipline also requires building habits of consistency. Saving once in a while or investing randomly does not create wealth, but consistent effort does. Setting aside a percentage of income every month, no matter how small, builds a muscle of discipline that grows stronger over time. Even when income is limited, the act of prioritizing savings or investments sends a powerful signal to yourself that building wealth is non-negotiable. Over years, these habits compound, and what once felt small becomes significant. The wealthy are not always the ones who make the most money at the start, but they are almost always the ones who manage money with the most consistency and discipline. Another key part of financial discipline is controlling debt. While not all debt is bad, many in the middle class fall in the trap of using debt for consumption rather than investment. Credit cards, loans, and financing options create the illusion of affordability, but ultimately drain future earnings. The wealthy use debt strategically as leverage to acquire assets that produce income rather than liabilities that cost money. Financial discipline means asking before every debt decision, is this debt working for me, or will I be working for this debt? This shift in thinking prevents money from leaking away into interest payments that could have been redirected toward investments. Emotional control plays a massive role in financial discipline as well. Spending is often emotional, driven by impulses, peer pressure, or the desire to impress others. The middle class can be tempted to show success through visible purchases, but the disciplined mindset values financial security over appearances. The wealthy are often underestimated because they do not always flaunt their means. Their discipline allows them to stay focused on long-term goals rather than being swayed by trends or the pressure to prove status. This emotional discipline shields them from reckless decisions and keeps them aligned with their ultimate vision of financial independence. Finally, financial discipline is not just about cutting back. It is also about prioritizing. It means channeling money into things that appreciate rather than depreciate. Every purchase is a choice between short-term satisfaction and long-term security. Choosing to invest in education, skills, or assets instead of impulsive consumption is an act of discipline that multiplies over time. This is why wealth building requires a constant balancing act between enjoying life today and securing freedom for tomorrow. The discipline to find that balance and stick to it is what allows ordinary people to build extraordinary financial futures. Ownership is one of the defining characteristics that separates the middle class from the wealthy, because working for money alone keeps people tied to a system of dependency, while ownership creates leverage, freedom, and exponential growth. The middle class often relies on wages or salaries as their main or only source of income, which means their financial future is tied to their employer's decisions, the stability of the job market, and the number of hours they can trade. No matter how high the income, if the money stops when the work stops, then the person is still locked in a fragile system. The wealthy, on the other hand, understand that ownership is the key that unlocks lasting financial security. They focus on acquiring assets they can own and control, which generate income whether they are actively working or not. This shift from being a worker to becoming an owner is the ultimate path toward building wealth. Ownership can take many forms, but at its core, it is about having control over value, creating entities. Owning a business, even on a small scale, allows someone to step out of the cycle of being only a consumer and start becoming a producer. A small business may begin as a side hustle or passion project, but when nurtured, it grows into something that produces profit independent of wages. This is why many wealthy individuals are entrepreneurs. They understand that by owning the system instead of working within the system, they multiply their opportunities for growth. Even if a person does not want to run a business full time, investing in companies through stocks is another form of ownership. Buying shares is essentially buying pieces of ownership in businesses that continue to grow and earn profits. Unlike wages, which stop when work stops, ownership in businesses continues to generate returns long into the future. Real estate is another powerful example of ownership. For the middle class, the dream is often limited to owning a home to live in. But for the wealthy, real estate is a tool for creating streams of income. Owning rental properties, commercial spaces, or even land means controlling assets that appreciate in value over time while also producing cash flow. These assets continue to grow in worth while providing recurring income. And unlike a paycheck, they are not dependent on trading hours. Ownership in real estate also provides security, as it is a tangible asset that holds value across generations. Intellectual property is another form of ownership that is often overlooked. Books, music, inventions, patents, online courses, and digital products all fall under intellectual property that can generate royalties or passive income. In a world driven by digital transformation, owning intellectual assets can be just as powerful as owning physical assets, if not more. The beauty of intellectual property is that once created, it can continue to generate revenue with little additional effort. This kind of ownership highlights the importance of creativity, innovation, and vision on the path to wealth. Ownership also extends to investments and equity stakes. Instead of only working for a salary, some choose to invest in startups, partnerships, or joint ventures where their money buys a share of the future profits. This kind of ownership allows wealth to grow at a faster pace than traditional savings ever could. Equity builds true long-term wealth because while income may pay bills, equity builds generational legacies. The middle class often hesitates to step into ownership because it feels risky or unfamiliar. They may fear losing money in a business, experiencing downturns in real estate, or not understanding stock markets. But what is often not realized is that relying solely on wages is just as risky because jobs can vanish overnight due to layoffs, economic shifts, or automation. Ownership, while carrying risk, also carries the possibility of scaling wealth beyond anything a fixed income can achieve. The wealthy understand that risk can be managed through education, mentorship, and calculated decision-making, and that the greater risk lies in not owning anything at all. Another critical aspect of ownership is control. When you own, you control decisions, directions, and destinies. An employee must follow the rules of their employer, but an owner sets the rules. Ownership places you in the driver's seat, allowing you to shape outcomes instead of waiting for someone else to decide them. This control is not just financial. It is freedom of time, freedom of choices, and freedom to pursue what matters most. Ownership gives the power to create opportunities, to impact communities, and to pass down wealth to future generations. It transforms the individual from being a participant in someone else's vision to being the architect of their own. Relying on a single paycheck has always been one of the greatest vulnerabilities of the middle class because one job, one employer, or one business alone can never guarantee lifelong financial security. Jobs can disappear, industries can collapse, and unexpected emergencies can wipe out stability in an instant. This is why multiple streams of income are not just a luxury for the wealthy, but a necessity for anyone who seeks to break out of financial dependence and step into true wealth. The principle is simple yet powerful. When money flows to you from more than one direction, you are no longer at the mercy of a single source. Instead, you create a safety net and at the same time a launching pad for greater financial growth. For the middle class, income often means salary and financial survival, depends on showing up to work day after day. But wealth is built when you create systems of income that can function even when you are not actively working. Multiple streams of income are about building layers of financial flow where one stream may cover expenses, another builds investments, another grows savings, and another funds future opportunities. Each stream reinforces the other so that even if one slows down or dries up, the others continue to sustain progress. This is the difference between financial fragility and financial resilience. One common stream of additional income comes from investing. Dividends from stocks, interest from bonds, and capital gains from appreciating assets are powerful because they are passive in nature. You do not have to clock in hours to receive them. Instead, your money works for you. For someone in the middle class, consistently investing in stocks or funds can eventually produce a second income that grows steadily over time. The wealthy understand this principle deeply, which is why they diversify investments across industries and markets to create steady flows of returns from different directions. Real estate is another proven avenue for multiple streams of income. Beyond owning a personal home, income-producing properties such as rentals, commercial spaces, or even land leases can provide regular cash flow. Each property acts as a separate stream, contributing to overall wealth. Real estate also combines appreciation with income, meaning that while you receive rent in the short term, the property itself grows in value in the long term. The wealthy often hold portfolios of properties for this very reason, ensuring that they always have money flowing in from different tenants, contracts, and assets. In today's digital age, creating additional income streams has become more accessible than ever. Online businesses, e-commerce, content creation, and digital products allow individuals to earn money beyond their main occupation. A side hustle can start small, like selling products online, writing digital guides, offering freelance services, or building a personal brand, but when managed with discipline, it grows into a consistent income stream. Many middle-class individuals underestimate the power of these opportunities, but the wealthy recognize that even small streams, when combined, can create rivers of wealth. Another layer of multiple income streams comes from building intellectual property. Royalties from books, courses, software, or inventions continue to generate income long after the initial work is completed. This form of income is powerful because it detaches time from money. Instead of being paid once for effort, you continue to be paid repeatedly. The wealthy place high value on assets that pay over and over again, and intellectual property is a clear example of how one effort can create lasting income. Partnerships and joint ventures also serve as additional income streams. By pooling resources and investing in opportunities with others, individuals gain access to profits that would not have been possible on their own. These streams not only bring financial growth, but also build networks and relationships that lead to even more opportunities. The wealthy rarely depend on one project. They are involved in several ventures at the same time, each producing returns at different levels. The beauty of multiple income streams is not only in financial gain, but also in peace of mind. When one stream falters, others continue to provide stability, reducing stress and fear. For the middle class, the thought of losing a job often brings anxiety because the single stream of income defines their survival. For those with multiple streams, one setback is only a minor inconvenience, not a disaster. This resilience gives them the confidence to take risks, explore new ventures, and build wealth without being paralyzed by fear of loss. The path to wealth requires intentional creation of these streams, not waiting for them to appear. It means taking the time to learn, explore, and invest in different areas, even starting small and allowing streams to grow over time. Each additional stream of income moves a person further from financial dependence and closer to financial freedom, turning survival into abundance and limitation into limitless possibility. One of the most underestimated but most transformative steps in the journey from middle class to wealth is the power of education and networking. While formal education may help a person earn a living, continuous self-education and strategic connections are what help a person build a fortune. The middle class often believes that once a degree is obtained and a career is secured, learning is complete. This belief creates a ceiling because the world is constantly changing, and the strategies that built security yesterday may no longer be enough tomorrow. The wealthy understand that learning never stops, and that financial education is not a one-time process, but a lifelong pursuit. They invest time, energy, and money into expanding their knowledge of markets, investments, opportunities, and innovations because they know that ignorance is expensive and knowledge is profitable. Financial education goes beyond knowing how to earn a salary. It is about understanding how money works, how assets grow, how taxes can be minimized, and how risks can be managed. It is the study of investments, real estate, entrepreneurship, and wealth strategies that most schools never teach. For someone in the middle class, this might begin with reading books about personal finance, attending workshops, or following mentors who have already achieved financial success. Each piece of knowledge adds a tool to their financial toolbox, equipping them to make smarter decisions and avoid costly mistakes. The wealthy dedicate themselves to learning because they know that one powerful insight can open the door to new streams of income, while one blind spot can lead to financial ruin. Equally important is the willingness to learn from mistakes. Every failure holds lessons, and those who are committed to education see setbacks as classrooms rather than disasters. When a business venture fails or an investment does not perform as expected, the lesson it provides becomes more valuable than the loss itself because it shapes future decisions and strengthens resilience. The middle class often views mistakes as final, but the wealthy see them as part of the curriculum of success. This mindset keeps them moving forward with greater wisdom each time. Networking is the second half of this principle, and it is just as crucial as education. Wealth does not grow in isolation, it multiplies in connection. The people you know, the relationships you build, and the circles you move in often determine the opportunities you encounter. The middle class frequently keeps to familiar networks, family, colleagues, and friends who think alike and live in similar circumstances. While these relationships provide comfort, they rarely open doors to greater financial growth. The wealthy intentionally seek out networks of ambition, innovation, and influence. They surround themselves with mentors, partners, and peers who challenge them to think bigger, aim higher, and act boldly. Networking provides access to opportunities that money alone cannot buy. A business idea may remain an idea until the right partner appears. An investment opportunity may never be visible until someone in your circle shares it. A mentor's single piece of advice could prevent years of wasted effort. This is why the wealthy attend conferences, join mastermind groups, engage in industry events, and build strong relationships across different sectors. Each new connection holds the potential for growth, collaboration, or guidance. The middle class may see networking as optional, but for the wealthy, it is non-negotiable. The value of a strong network also extends beyond financial opportunities. It provides accountability and inspiration. Being around people who are already achieving what you aspire to do shifts your standards and raises your expectations of yourself. When success becomes normal in your circle, mediocrity no longer feels acceptable. This subtle but powerful influence of a network can accelerate progress faster than working alone. The wealthy know that isolation slows growth, but collaboration multiplies it. Education and networking are inseparable because learning often comes through people. Books and courses provide information, but mentors and peers provide wisdom. The wealthy are not afraid to ask questions, seek advice, or admit what they do not know because they see humility as the path to growth. They are students of both knowledge and people, constantly learning, adapting, and evolving. This combination of lifelong education and purposeful networking creates a dynamic cycle. Education builds competence, networking provides opportunity, and together they fuel wealth creation. Wealth without purpose is nothing more than numbers on a bank statement, and this is where many people misunderstand the ultimate goal of financial freedom. The middle class often dreams of wealth only in terms of comfort, security, or luxury, but the wealthy who build legacies understand that money alone cannot satisfy the deepest needs of life. True wealth is not measured merely by what you accumulate, but by the impact you create, the freedom you secure, and the legacy you leave behind. When money becomes tied to a higher purpose, it transforms from being just currency into a tool for influence, change, and meaning. For many in the middle class, money is a means of survival. Bills, mortgages, school fees, healthcare, and basic living expenses consume the majority of earnings, leaving little room for thinking beyond immediate needs. In this cycle, the purpose of money is often reduced to making it through another month. But for those who seek and attain wealth, money becomes something far greater, a resource to fuel dreams, a way to create opportunities for others, and a means of building something that lasts beyond their lifetime. The shift from survival to purpose is one of the most powerful transformations a person can make on the journey to wealth. Purpose gives wealth direction. Without it, even those who achieve financial abundance can feel empty, constantly chasing more without ever feeling fulfilled. History is full of wealthy individuals who, despite having fortune and fame, lived with a sense of dissatisfaction because their money lacked meaning. On the other hand, those who tie their wealth to something larger than themselves, such as uplifting communities, advancing knowledge, creating jobs, or supporting causes, find joy not just in possession but in contribution. Purpose ensures that wealth becomes a servant, not a master. Another aspect of purpose is freedom. Wealth provides the ability to reclaim time, and time is the most valuable asset any person can own. The middle class often spends decades trading hours for paychecks with little control over how their days are spent. True wealth allows a person to design life around what matters most: family, health, travel, learning, or service. This freedom becomes the ultimate measure of wealth because it allows people to live intentionally instead of reactively. When money provides the freedom to choose, it transforms life from survival to significance. Purpose also drives resilience. On the path to wealth, there will always be challenges, setbacks, and obstacles. If money is the only motivation, discouragement can easily lead to giving up when the journey becomes difficult. But when there is a deeper purpose, such as building a legacy for children, making a difference in society, or achieving personal dreams, the obstacles become stepping stones instead of roadblocks. Purpose fuels persistence, and persistence is what ultimately creates wealth. Legacy is another dimension of purpose beyond money. The middle class often thinks in terms of their own lifetime, but the wealthy think in terms of generations. They understand that the true measure of wealth is not just what they enjoy now, but what they leave behind. This could be financial inheritance, businesses that continue to thrive, charities that make a difference, or even principles and values instilled in their families. Legacy ensures that wealth outlives the individual and continues to create impact long after they are gone. It turns financial success into generational transformation. Purpose also changes how wealth is perceived. When money is seen only as a symbol of power or status, it breeds greed and competition. But when money is viewed as a tool for purpose, it brings gratitude and responsibility. The wealthy with purpose see themselves not only as owners of wealth, but also as stewards of it. They recognize that money can be used to create progress, heal problems, and open doors for others. This perspective gives a sense of fulfillment that luxury alone cannot provide. In the end, purpose is what elevates wealth from material to meaningful. It is what makes the journey worthwhile, what gives sacrifices value, and what turns success into significance. The middle class may strive to escape financial struggle, but the wealthy strive to align their wealth with vision, values, and impact. Purpose makes wealth complete because it transforms accumulation into contribution and prosperity into legacy.